So you have a little bit of a outline here on the bottom, so I guess we can just start there.
Okay.
So you had two main questions. We'll make sure that those get 100% answered. And then you see you have some plans and some goals. What's the difference between those two? Plans is like, I'm definitely doing this, and goals maybe one day kind of thing?
Yeah, I guess it's more like a long-term thing for my goals.
Sure. Okay.
Versus my plans that are like within the next month or two.
Okay. So like plans is, before winter, and goals is hopefully maybe with winter or after that.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. So what's your current situation? What are we in right now?
I was actually able to do Damien and Lotus solo the other day, so actually did one of my plans already.
Okay, good. That's on a 236 Hoyoung, right?
Yeah. I could probably do it on my arc since I'm pretty decent with the mechanics enough. I guess now I think I just need to really work on my Legion more than anything, and then find a guild to run Lucid and Will together.
Okay. Have you done any practice on there whatsoever? Like jumped into any Smegas or any Smega runs?
Practice with the bosses?
Yeah.
No, I mean I tried to do like easy Lucid practice by myself, but it just took too long, and I just
Golem
kind of got bored of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That can happen too. Just every dragon is like, oh look, another dragon. I can get to the side. Woo, dead again. Like.
Yeah, I mean I've seen people fight it, so I'm not like completely clueless about what's going on, but it's still like I gotta practice it myself too. So.
Yeah, and sadly you cannot practice stages, right? You can only practice the first one, and then.
Yeah.
It's kind of if you don't have the
damage. Skip phase option.
Yeah. Well, you still had Lotus and David. How were those runs? Were they fast? Were they?
They were pretty fast. Yeah. I did them under like 10 minutes each.
Okay. And that's without guild skills, I assume, since you said I need to find a guild for the bosses.
Yeah. I'm currently guildless right now.
Yeah, with a guild that could make quite a difference. Guild skills alone is it's a huge increase. I tried to quantify it, but it's a little hard. But I would say that enabling guild skills, especially if you have like at least 2 max, but if you're getting close to the third one being maxed, I feel like for any stage of the game, it's probably about 4 to 5k stat increase. But like the lower you are, of course, the higher that might be comparatively.
Oh, wow.
It's yeah, I mean just the 30% critical damage alone is massive, but then adding more damage, it's pretty nice.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's quite good. It's quite good. Once you rely on them, though, it feels kind of shitty because then if you don't have them, or then the timer is way lower. So it's good, I think, from the beginning to kind of get used to not having them all the time. But then once it's realistic to be in a guild, and the only thing you really have to do is, for most guilds, is just participate, do like Culvert once a week, and do Flag if you can, to get some points, and then then should have access to quite a lot of damage from that.
Yeah, I just don't know how it'll work for me once I actually start working again. I'm in between jobs right now, so
so you have extra time now.
Full time. Yeah. Hopefully I'll be able to contribute something, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, Flag is a little bit limited. Like you have to run on a specific time. So you probably want to run in the weekends. Yeah. But for Culvert, I mean, it's just 2 minutes, maybe with some prep. It's like 3 minutes of your day once a week. For access to that kind of damage, I think is more than fair.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
As far as dailies and weeklies go, that's the one with the least amount of time with the highest payout, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the first one already done, and then how do you find yourself dividing your time between these characters?
So my main focus is definitely my Hoyoung. I do all my dailies on him, and then kind of divvy up my time between my other characters if I feel like doing dailies on them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to feel like I'm obligated to do every single daily for every character because I just feel like that's just gonna burn me out too fast.
Yeah,
So I
probably.
do it kind of at my own pace and how I feel.
Yeah, that's the downside of liking multiple characters is you gotta make sure you don't spread yourself too thin, right?
Yeah. But I've been working on my Adele. I got her up to 221 and then I just started working on my arc again.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been a while since I played that character and I forgot how much fun it was. So it's like, oh no, who do I pay more attention to? It's like, which child is my favorite?
Yeah, that's that could be difficult if you love them all equally, but not the same, right?
Yeah.
The same amount, but in a different way because they are different, so they need different kinds of attention. And you'll definitely find some classes have an easier time with certain level ranges where you don't really need to pay too much attention to them, and then other level ranges they might need a lot of extra help. You know, very similar to, I guess, to raising a bunch of children, where certain age ranges they might be completely on their own and be self-sufficient, and you don't really need to look out for them, and other people might be struggling very hard with some stuff, so they need more time.
Yeah.
And you don't want to pick a favorite, but you also see
Yeah,
too many similarities now.
Must be hard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That to me always seemed the hardest part. To like, you want to protect from not having them make mistakes, but you also want to have them make enough mistakes on their own that aren't too bad, so they can learn from them, you know, in their own way. But it's like,
Yeah.
where do you let them? Where do you let them fuck up so that they can learn from it and hope that the negatives aren't too bad? And where do you protect them from it because you just know it's going to be horrible, and even let them hate you for protecting them from it because they can't foresee the consequences, you know?
You're getting a little too metaphorical for me here.
Yeah. No. Now I'm purely going into the other end. Yeah. Because I mean, for characters, of course, there's no like huge mistakes, right? What can happen? You can run into a weekly boss and not be able to kill it. You know, that's like the biggest downside, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've also like used a little too much of my resources into like the wrong things. I feel like.
More with the Hoyoung in the beginning, or still with other characters as well?
Like just with my meso usage, I feel like I could use it a little bit more efficiently. Like during the most recent Star Force event, I just like kind of went all out and got some of my stuff to like 21 and 20 stars.
During the 30% off, you mean?
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, with the somewhat promise of a Shining Star Force coming. Yeah, I can see it though. I mean, 30% off plus the 20% reduced past 15, right?
Yeah.
It's going very high. It's not as expensive anymore, but I would say it's probably okay if you're doing it for like CRA stuff, right? Where you just have near infinite backups after a while. But for everything else, I probably still use the 5 to 15s, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my problem was that I just was kind of a hoarder and just never used anything, and I just felt like I might as well do it now than just wait and then just end up quitting and never doing it anyways.
Yeah, because then you never really get the results of the work you've put in, right? You need to feel at least in some level that you're still progressing with the time that you spent. Otherwise, that is, I think for most normal people, very demotivating if you're not feeling like you're really moving anywhere with all the time you spent. I mean, it's almost better to just try to upgrade and fail, because then at least you had like the little rush of of the star forcing, rather than just sit on the money and then be like, yeah, there's just not seeing any progress and then just leaving the game. That definitely helps. Happens to some people, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, even with like the upgrades that I did make, it's like, how much of an upgrade did I really make? 'Cause it doesn't feel too different, I guess. But
yeah, that's one thing that can lead people to playing multiple characters as well. Because at a certain point, you definitely start feeling those diminishing returns, right, with how much money you spend.
Yeah.
And then switching to a lower level character that can make significantly more gains with the same amount of money can feel a lot better.
Yeah, that's how I felt about all the Tera burns that I made recently.
Yeah. Level go brr.
So.
Probably hasn't been the case in a while.
But I mean, what do you think about the goals that I set though? Like, do you think they're feasible, or do you think I should aim higher, lower?
Yeah, well, the time frame is always a thing. If you're looking at time frame in like months, but you know, with how much you play per from a day to day or per week can differ heavily. Then you know, if you play 2 hours a day, then saying I could do this in a month is very different than someone who can play 8 hours a day. Then you know, then instead of a month, it would be a week, right? Because you have to divide it over 4. So it's always a little bit difficult to say in that sense. But if you are able to kill solo Damien and Lotus in like, and you've only just started doing that in under 10 minutes each, that means that you can probably fine-tune the run still and get better and better at it, you know? So you could probably do it in like 6 or 7 minutes, I'm assuming, just from like pure efficiency increase from practice. And the other thing is that once you get into a guild and you get the guild skills, you can speed it up even more. You could probably do them both in under 5 minutes, so like less than 10 minutes for both of them combined. Then you're definitely like party lucid ready. The main thing for Will is just your level. You're gonna have to get levels and make sure that your arcane power is up there. The arcane power requirement for lucid is very low at only 540, so I'm assuming you're already way past that. Yeah. And but for Will, you know, if you want to do the full bonus damage, you're gonna need 1140 or 780 for the base damage. So you have the base damage. So I think once you get to like past 240, like you're probably gonna want to be like 245 or something once you start doing Will, because Will itself is level 250, and if you're just too many levels below, you're losing so much efficiency on your damage output, right? Like if you were to do Will now, I think you have like 85% or 80% plus final damage reduction just from the level difference, not even taking into account the IED, you know, final damage penalty. So you'd probably just be hitting ones even if you have like a functional 90% IED or something. So,
Gotcha.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly level.
Sense.
If you get up to 240, I believe that in KMS they did lower the level of Easy Will. So you can just start, you know, seeing the mechanics, and you know the mechanics aren't as punishing, and it has way less HP. But the main thing is you can see the indications of the attacks. You know, like you see what spawns a tornado. You learn that you need to play with skill transparency because otherwise you can't see anything that's going on. Learning to manage,
especially with this class, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Even on minimal visibility, sometimes it'll block his shit, right? But with you know, like with the moonlight and learning how to use that, and maybe finding a button that works for you to put the moonlight on so you can have easy access to that. Yeah, just get used to it. But you, very quickly want to graduate to doing normal will and then to doing hard will as soon as possible. But typically around the time where parties have been doing it together and they start getting to the point where you can do normal will because of the levels, at that point people are usually already looking towards going towards hard lucid at the same time, just because of the upgrades that people make in that time during those levels, and because of how much easier hard lucid has gotten comparatively, and how much of a level and an arcane power requirement there is for will.
Is the easy versions, do they drop the coins?
They drop nothing of value.
So they're just purely for practice.
Purely for practice, yeah. And for you know, when there's those weekly things like there are now with those coins, right? If there's a clear category with coins per boss difficulty level, then you could do hard on one character, normal on another, and easy on another, right? So you can dip into all of the clears. Versus if your highest level character cannot go into Tenebris yet, for example, right? Can do Varicella, can do Gloom Dark now, all of that stuff. Then you might need to kind of like double up on the difficulty levels of the lower level bosses to make sure that you can still max out your weekly coins for that. That make sense?
The coins, or are you talking about the crystals?
No, you have like weekly coins right now. Is it like wish coins? I think. Right, that you can pick up every week.
Those things.
If you want to cap, but your highest level character can go all the way venturing into Tenebris, then you might want to do like, you know, normal lucid, easy lucid, normal sickness, easy sickness, right, on multiple characters, so you can still try to max out.
I mean,
harmony coins, my bad,
I can't really think about that right now when I can't even do lucid yet, so maybe in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly just access to extra droplets and eternal flames, right?
Yeah.
There's not too much pressure on those shops for us in Reboot. In non-Reboot, there's more pressure because they have a lot more cool stuff in that shop, but all of it is just not available to us. So for us, the shop looks pretty much empty.
Yeah.
But I think all the other goals, like Slime Guardian, have you tried it at all so far? Like the normal slime?
I actually stopped playing when they added that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what the prequest is. I,
Ramu Village or something is the prequest.
okay.
Should be in
Yeah, I
the
don't know
logo.
anything about it.
Yeah. Um, it's a 3-minute burst. Well, it's basically it has like a mini game in it, which is in the beginning feels a little bit annoying. You have a boss with a bunch of attacks. You have laser beams that will stun you, so you want to get out of the way when you see those spawning. The
Uh-huh.
boss teleports to you every once in a while. So if you can always hit him if you're one platform higher, and that's when you're the safest because you dodge all of his other attacks basically. You still get hit by a laser attack, hits you for about 40% of your HP, but you can just heal that one up quite nicely because there is some heal cooldown, but not too long. So you just want to stay one stage above him and do all your damage. And then whenever he teleports to where you are, you just go one higher again, and then try to coincide that with also dodging those laser beams so you don't get stunned. Because if you get stunned, then you start getting hit by the other attacks, and some of his attacks are really annoying, like push you across the map or just one-shot you. So that can be annoying. There's little slimes that
Um,
show up on the map, which you'll probably kill with your vortex.
what boss would you compare it to?
It's... I mean, it's very on its own, because while you're doing all of this, you also have to, like, hit rocks with NPC chat to block portals. Because every 3 minutes there's like a test where he just disappears, and there's a test of like
Uh-huh.
slimes, just like a conga line of slimes, just like sliding down the map, and they will just find the path of most resistance. I guess they'll always go to the side of the platform that has the longest distance, but they will just slither all the way down to the bottom of the map, and you have to block them with crystals that you put on the platforms and guide them through the portal, the same color portal that you blocked during the boss fight. So you're gonna have to do both doing the boss fight and blocking the portal at the same time. Typically, I just block one portal, and then when you see the test starting, the map will extend downwards, and it'll show you like a little bit of a cutscene of where the portals are, so you can see which one you blocked, and then you guide it towards that portal basically. And then once it enters, the boss will respawn up top, but it'll be bound, like not bound, but like stunned, kind of like Will is, for like 10 seconds, and then you can still bind it afterwards as well, but also it'll take more final damage during that stage if you do that properly. So that'll speed up your run significantly, and because it happens every 3 minutes, it's also a good idea that you take a look at your cooldowns to see like, okay, what do I use when, like what do I save, what do I use when. And one trick that you can use is you can use the crystals to block the stream of slimes instead of straight going down into the portal that you blocked. You can also make them just bounce back and forth on a platform and kind of keep them stuck. And that way you can get your cooldowns a little bit more time to come back. Say that you have, because some classes use 2-minute burst, right, and 3-minute burst. I think as Hoyoung, you're more on a 3-minute, right?
I think so. I can't remember off the top of my
They
head.
give like some 200-second stuff, right? But I think they're
Yeah.
still synchronizing that stuff for you. That's a good thing to know, though, for your class. Is if like, are you a 2-minute class, are you a 3-minute class, are you a 4-minute class? That's good to know. Like for Arc, is you have 2-minute like small burst and 4-minute large burst, right? So
Yeah.
if you were to play it on Arc, what you would have to do is in the beginning you can do your full burst, and then like 2 minutes in you can do your 2-minute burst again, right? And then like right after that burst, the test will start once you get that full burst in, and then you basically have a whole minute during the test, like an extra 40 seconds, 50 seconds that you probably want to delay the test so that all of your burst is ready during that bound period where he is stunned and where he can take extra final damage. And then during that time, you can do your full 4-minute burst again, combined with that extra final damage, and get a whole bunch of damage out of that, and that'll speed up your run significantly. Otherwise, the run takes quite long because he regenerates quite a bit of his health.
Mm.
So it's
Um.
going to take some practice. The first 2 or 3 runs, you're probably going to fuck up the portal thing quite a bit, and you're going to get knocked around, and you're going to die, and it's going to be a little bit annoying. But after like 3 or 4 runs, you'll get the portal stuff down. You know which ones to hit, which directions to hit him in. You'll get used to the kind of the delay of that mechanic because it's a little bit weird. Yeah, you'll do fine after a bit. I think stat wise, because you're at 23, yeah. I think people around your stat will start running it and probably can, but again, it'll be quite long boss runs, and it might also, it'll be very useful to have guild skills for that as well. But around this stat is probably doable, yeah. But you'll have pretty good run, and again, you'll have to increase efficiency for like by practicing, kind of like with Lotus and Damien, right? Yeah.
Would I be able to do just the normal?
Just normal, yeah.
version?
The Chaos has an insanely high amount of HP. Basically, same mechanics. You know, some of the things hit harder, but basically the same mechanics. Just way more slimes, and those little slimes, most of them don't really do much. They just do a little bit of damage. But there's also seduce slimes that just like seduce you all the time, and then you're bopping around. You can't control yourself. You get into a beam. You get stunned. You know, you get wombo comboed basically by all of the other stuff that's going on.
Gotcha.
But and the Chaos Slime, because it has so much HP, that healing gets insane. So people will put, in terms of how much damage they want you to have for the Chaos Slime, it'll be like beyond Varusilla usually, like on the same level of like Chaos Gloom and maybe Chaos Darknell, just because otherwise the runs take forever because he just keeps healing. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you can
Like,
technically
is that
do it
for solo?
for well, typically for Chaos Gloom and Chaos Darknell, like for the same type of party composition. Like if you want to solo, you'll need their damage for solo as well. But if you want to party, then you'll need that damage for party as well, basically. Like in the same group. But like beyond, typically for Sea Slime, that want you to be stronger than someone who can just do Varusilla, basically. Just because, yeah, that healing is just outrageous, and you don't want to be there forever.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, the main problem is that
easy bot.
every 3 minutes there's that test, right? So you're just like locked out of the boss fight basically for 20 seconds where you can't really do anything. So that makes the whole boss fight last longer, especially if you're a 4-minute class, then you're blocking yourself out for a whole minute during that test. So that makes the boss run just take forever.
Okay. Does the normal one drop the ring as well?
Yeah, it can. It's way more rare than from Chaos, but it can definitely drop it. I've gotten quite some running on a few characters. It does happen, yeah. The thing with the ring though is that it's and I think did you mention the rings as well as like your progress, right? Because of the meta.
Yeah. It changed so much, yeah.
Yeah, the thing with the rings is that I feel like the slime ring is in a very weird position. In a way, it's too early or too late. Well, I guess it makes sense, right? Because it's only a very low chance to get it from normal, so you're more going to be counting on it once you get to Chaos. But some people get it early, and I'll see people with like 12-star snail rings that are like legendary, and I'm like, oof, this is kind of out of place, right? Because the main thing for the slime ring is so rings in general, once you get up to like 17-star regular rings, or you get event rings, they're basically the same. So whatever you do with a ring just kind of depends on what potential you end up getting on it, right? But if you get a slime ring, people are like, oh, it's a high-level ring, it's quote-unquote best in slot, I want to invest in it immediately. The thing that makes the best in slot on the slime ring, and the thing that makes the ring so good, is once you go past 17-star and you phase out the event rings, that's when all of the Star Force rings start coming in. And basically, you only have a few options there, right? You have Superior, Reinforced, Kana Treasure, the Meister, the Slime Ring, and the Endless Terror. Endless Terror is, for most people, completely off the reservation, right? Reinforced, you may not want to get into because of the coins, and you might want to have backups when you're going to 20 to 21 star on your Superior, and you need a backup there, right? And for Meister, if you don't get enough primals and you don't get enough grand spell essences, you might not be able to craft those. And for Kana Treasure, you might not get enough drops. So for all of those, there are question marks. So that puts probably one of those 4 at a probably not. And then the slime ring comes in. That's cool. But it starts coming in when you're getting your rings past 17. And past 17 essentially means transferring from 21 to 20. That's basically what that means, right? You're not going to transfer from 19 to 18. You're not going to transfer from 20 to 19, right? These are all highly inefficient. So if you get a slime ring, what I see is, first we're going to get all of the rings to 20, then some to 21, and then get an extra kind of treasure and Meister to 21, transfer into a Superior. Your original Superior probably is already 21, and then we're going to get a second superior to 21 and then transfer it into a 20 slime. Like, that's probably what that ring is going to do. So if I see a 12-star slime that's legendary, I'm like, okay, well, this could have just been an event ring, right? And that would have been way stronger. This could have been like a Glory Guard ring or even a Master SS ring or a Synergy ring, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But the ring itself looks amazing, and it's big and high level and best in slot, but it's not best in slot if you can't upgrade it to the point where it is, if it cannot synergize with the other pieces of your equipment where it would be, you know? So it might be really cool to equip it because you got it and you know you want to show it off, but you're making yourself weaker by changing into it a little bit too quickly. So what I'm trying to say is, like, it's good if you get one early, but don't get baited too quickly into, you know, maybe just equip it, but don't upgrade it so that if people scroll through your equipment, you know, they can see you have it. If you really want to show it off, give it like 5 stars so that you get more stars when you're AFK for your Legion, you know, for your Legion power rather than with an event ring, but don't go too hard on it early on, because there's so much other stuff, like you said, you know, you need to get the CRA to high star force, and then you want to get, you know, the fodder, the level 140 fodder to transfer into the 20-star superior. Maybe, you know, depending on how you play the game, maybe even like 21-star level 150 fodder into Absolab. You know, those are all other options. And then you know, you get to the rings eventually once you can have backup superiors, and you have that kind of Helix coins. Because that's one you didn't mention, but how is like Hardlux, Helix, how is that going? Because usually that's around this point as well where you start trying to do that, right?
Oh, I've been doing that for a while. It's not really a problem because the mechanics, they're like kind of stupid, but they're doable.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that on either of my mains.
Yeah, Hoyoung and Arc are both doing that just fine.
Yep.
Okay, good. I guess both have the luxury of some flexible iframes, right? That helps a lot.
Yeah.
You don't get blindsided as much as some other classes might.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing this on any other character.
Like an actual melee class feels,
Yeah,
you know.
a class that requires actual skill to play.
Listen, okay, there's some bosses where Hoyoung and Arc can be very challenging, okay? But yeah, we could definitely get carried by our kits for quite a while. But I think in the same way, there's also a lot of pressure on you to perform and to put good damage out, so people expect it as well.
Yeah.
That's the flip
Maybe
side.
once I like start party bossing, it'll be more apparent that maybe I'm not actually that great at the game. And
well, the thing with Arc, especially if you're doing the longer boss fights, is you have to. The other dimension is to really pace yourselves on your Spectra, right? Because you're gonna have boss fights, especially if you're doing Will, and it's like, oh, we need a little bit more damage here, a little bit more damage here, and it's like, okay, now it's time for burst, and you go into Spectra, and immediately you start blinking. You're like, oh, well, no burst for me, guys. Yeah, and then sometimes you learn to sometimes take a step back whenever you can. Always go back to Flora, you know, always max regen. And I guess Hoyoung in a similar way, because you are also, you know, you work with an energy bar. You're gonna have to, your timing on when you pop those skills, that's gonna be trial and error in the beginning. You know, you're gonna learn like, okay, if I press it there, that's the absolute worst thing I could have done. Now I'm completely out of all my juice by the time I need to burst, right? So
yeah,
that's kind of just stuff that you figure out, and that's another layer on top of learning the boss mechanics, is learning your own mechanics and how they intersect with the boss, and that's going to definitely be determined by your party composition. If you have a big burst, if you have a domain, if you have whatever, you have long binds, then you might get away with you know, switching into Flora for a long time and getting all that juice back. If the party struggles a bit more and a lot more of the damage needs to come from you, it might be like, you know, guys, like I can do, like for Will in the tests in the beginning, you know, like we can't do a 1-1-1 because I just don't have any juice left after that first burst. Like we need to do a 1-2-1 or a 2-1-2, you know, with 2 tests, 1 test, 2 tests, because otherwise we just can't make it. Because the main thing is you want to have everything up for the phase 2 to get out of there as fast as possible. That's the hardest phase, and that's where you're going to struggle the most when you're doing Will as well, and that's totally fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to find some people and then just start practicing to really get a sense of what you're saying. Like, I get it,
Yeah,
but
it's
like,
just words, but you physical, and yeah, getting in there, it's very, yeah, you'll be able to put it to action really quickly.
Yeah.
I'm the same. You can watch a video and you can hear someone talk about it, but unless I've jumped in and tried it, because it'd be like, oh, you have to dodge this attack. But what does dodge an attack mean? You know, does it mean just like does it gently move to the side, or does it mean like you have to
Yeah.
careen yourself to the other side of the map? It could be very different depending on how you interpret that. So, no, I totally get that. Well, our guild is still recruiting if you're interested. So, always,
Your main guild?
yeah, always, yeah.
Oh.
Exclamation mark guild. There you go. Boom. Because we have like 230 plus usually for the main guild as a requirement. Like people who are starting off Lucid is kind of the goal. So that's where you're at. So you're perfect for that,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, I think right now I'm gonna wait to see how my job, like how much of my time is
Yeah, you're
devoted to the game first.
job hunting right now, or did you already find one?
I found a job, I just haven't started yet. I just need to know like how much time I'll have for the game and
Yeah. Yeah, to
figure
see
out
what.
like I don't want to be a detriment to the guild or anything by not being able to play. So
Yeah, exactly. I get that. Yeah. Yeah,
so
general rule is like just if you don't participate in the flag and in the culvert, then you just kind of lose your guild skill privileges. But if you have like specific things coming up or you can play a certain amount of time, you can just let the management know, and then, we just make sure that you don't get kicked for no reason. But if you know for yourself, like some people have already stepped aside when they're like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to kill or not gonna be able to play really much at all in the next 3 months, so I'm just gonna leave the guild and then apply later. That's always a possibility as well, of course. So
yeah. So we'll see how that works out.
yeah, just to find whatever guild matches your profile and what you want to do. Yeah, but hopefully the new guild leaves you with enough time to do fun stuff.
Yeah.
Might not
Hopefully.
necessarily be Mabel because that's a lot of times that you need, but
Yeah, this game feels like a job sometimes too.
It can, yeah. A lot of people starting off are like, "Oh, what should I do here? Like, what is the most efficient thing to do here?" And it's like, please just have it be a fun video game for as long as possible before you start getting into that. Because once you get into that, there's really no way going back to, or you have to have some kind of rude awakening of, what is fun for me and what should I be doing, rather than, but well, you know it, right? Like you've already had the thing where you're not quite sure if you're going to get burnt out or not if you keep going the way that you do.
I mean that's what happened last time was that I was trying to be so efficient with everything that I was doing that it just got so overwhelming and I just didn't want to do it anymore. It's like it wasn't fun for me.
Yeah, and
But
that's totally relatable because I try to think of any other video game that I really enjoyed. What was really fun about that game? And it was mainly because I wasn't doing like research and compiling spreadsheets and all of that stuff. I was just logging in and just doing my thing and just, just enjoying myself. But the thing, I
yeah,
guess MMOs just tend to pull you into a direction of like you need to be like fully efficient, you need to compete with everyone else, you need to do better, you need to be faster and all that. And yeah, sometimes I think it's better to just kind of treat it as a single person game almost in that sense, not as in like nobody else exists, but in the sense that I'm just logging in and just doing my thing and just doing what is enjoyable to me. And yeah, some dailies will give you a lot of benefit, and sometimes your enjoyment comes from getting stuff for a little time that you have. And if you're limited on time, you have a little bit of a priority list in your head. But in general, you'd want to log out and be like, I had fun today, like I did some cool stuff. You want to recharge your battery, not deplete it even more when you're logging in, and log out like, oh, I still had all of this other stuff to do and I should have done this. And because where's the fun, where's the long-term fun in any of that, right?
yeah, I'm trying to like not push myself into being efficient. Like if I miss a daily or something, I'm not gonna like beat myself up over it. I
Yeah.
used to do that and that was just like not good for my mental.
No, definitely not. I mean, that's the game. That's how the game is set up, right? They want you to have that fear of missing out when you don't get that one piece of content that you could have gotten. The game wants you to feel like, oh, I should, play a little bit more tomorrow, and then I can get everything done. That's how the game is set up, so that you play more, and that's essentially what they want, right? So you have to be careful that you do what you want and not what the game wants.
Yeah, and I just have to remind myself like the daily will be there again tomorrow. It's
Yep.
not the end of the world.
That's why it's called a
So
daily, right? Yeah, it'll be there again tomorrow. Exactly.
I just gotta do it at my own pace.
Yep. Yeah, so one day you want to get your characters to 250. That'll be doable, right? There's a lot of stuff like extra potions and extra buffs that'll definitely help you jumpstart that as well, right? The big potion selectors get you there quite a bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, Party Loosen and Will, that's like we already went over that. Third Terror Burn, is that something you're still kind of wondering about, like what that should be?
I'm just deciding if I should Terra burn something I want to make or Terra burn something that is important for my Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess for me, I need to be able to have fun playing the game, so I think I'm just gonna do something that I want to burn rather than
Mm-hmm.
something that I should burn. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess one thing I do want to say with that is that you have those three characters that you play a bit now, and I'm assuming the Paladin and the Bishop are both classes you wanted to make as well, right? 'Cause-
Uh, kind of, sort of. Like I made the Paladin thinking I could make it a boss mule. But I'm kind of sick of that class now. It's not as fun as I thought it would be.
Okay. Maybe a
Like,
little bit of too much at once syndrome though, because you only just made it, or
I think the Paladin is just too simple in terms of its kit.
okay.
It's like being invincible is like cool and all, but it gets kind of boring.
Okay, yeah.
Just spamming the same button over and over again.
Yeah, they
I need like
they take away the elements, right, and just holy now, so took away I think some of the complexities probably of the class.
Yeah, and in theory, it makes like for a really good bossing mule because you just ignore all the bossing mechanics, but
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
it kind of takes the fun out of it too.
I see, I see. I guess it's good to have a little bit of everything, though, you know, to have some classes that are a little bit more high demand in keys, and then have one class that's a little bit more... Like, if you feel like doing bossing, but you're not, you know, you're not in the super gamer mode, you can just do the Paladin instead, you know, and then you can still get your value without having to work as hard for it, maybe. Or
Yeah,
with as much
and
stress, you know?
that's why I like the Hoyoung and the art, just because it's not the same button over and over again.
Yeah, I see, yeah. But it's good to have like a more diverse portfolio, I guess, in types of classes, right? So
Yeah.
okay, so you're not seeing this one as one that you you know, would do for me. So what class would you think? Well, the main thing I'm saying it is because that the Terra Burninator, the third one at least, does get the free equips, right, up to 200, like you get the Fafnir stuff, but you don't get any of the stuff past 200, right, like the nodes and everything. So if you're gonna pick something that you like more, it's not gonna get as much help, which maybe is a good thing, you know, because you like it already, so you can play it more, and then the characters you don't like as much are getting more help, so that you can get them to the same point, but a little bit less resistance on the characters you don't like as much.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you get up to 200, but the
I,
past 200 is only on one of your Terra Burninators, so the one that you already did, which is a Bishop, I guess, right?
yeah, that was the second one that I made.
Yeah, so the Bishop will get the stuff up all the way up to, is it up to 210? So the 200 to 205 and the 210 rewards of the extra nodes. If the Bishop hasn't taken those yet, then your third Terra Burn could pick those up first if you level that one first.
Okay. Wait, did they get the potions at 215 too?
No, 215 and 220 is only once per account.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah, that would be crazy if they would get all of those, yeah.
So there's no incentive to get your second Terra Burn past 210 then? Or your third one?
The third one, yeah, the third one is mainly one for 200, but since it also gets the Fafnir, some people also turn it into like a boss mule or at least a level 3 link because, you know, with the Fafnir gear and with the current events and everything going on, it's probably still decently fast to get it to 210. So most people will go like a level 3 link that is a class that they really don't like for like the second Terra Burninator.
Okay.
And then more like a bossing mule and the first Burninators because you get these extra nodes so you can put those to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Maybe I
that
need to
makes the choice a
rethink
little
that.
bit easier.
Yeah.
If you see the function of the character, yeah.
Yeah, that does help because there's some classes that I just want to get to 200 and then never touch again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, either one of those
So
or one that you know that you eventually want to get to 210 that's on the list here, but you don't see yourself playing the character that much. Maybe you only barely got it to 140 and you're like, ugh.
yeah, I'll just wait till the next Tera burn, I guess, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever character I really want to make.
Yeah, and it's just like extreme growth potion and all of that for the the current characters. Because you said really work on Legion, so you're trying to get level 3 links and trying to get the 8k then? Like in the long run, I guess.
Yeah, I just need to focus on the ones that give the most bonuses first.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a work in progress.
Yep. Yeah, it always is, dude. You're never never done with this game.
Uh, yeah, and I shouldn't feel pressured to have to do everything all the time either. So I'm
No.
trying not to let it get to my head either.
Yeah, it's like with upgrading, you know. People always feel like, oh, you should be working on stuff and should be spending the money. It's like, well, you know, but you can always upgrade, right? Like everything can always be a little bit better. You can always get a flame score higher. You can always get like a double prime potential. You know, there's no limit to how far it can go. So the question is really, you know, what kind of content do you want to do with the character? And what can it already do? And is an upgrade going to get you significantly closer to the things that you cannot do yet, but want to be able to do? And if the answer to that is like yes on any of your characters, then that's the next thing you invest on. And if the answer is no, then you just sit on your money and wait until one of those opportunities presents itself. And sometimes that literally just means, you know, doing Princess No for 3 months and then seeing how many rings you have and then waiting for an event and then being like, now that no turned into a yes, now we have something to go to, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, that
Um.
I think that takes some pressure off of needing to spend every single dollar you have. But like you said, you know, sitting on 100 bill when your account is like the highest character is like level 230, it's probably not the best idea because you can probably give that character a huge boost anywhere in between those times.
Yeah, I just don't want to waste too many of my resources.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
Just trying to be patient too for events and stuff, for
Yeah, well,
discounts and
whatever you
whatnot.
call a lot of resources is going to 100% depend on where you are in the game and what the next upgrade costs, right? Like to me, 100 bill is like, well, to me, 100 bill is always a lot of money because I have a fucked up sense of value like that. Like $100 is always going to be a lot to me, even if it's, you know, completely free of context. But that's just how I am. But if you're pretty far in the game, if your main character is like level 250 and you have 5 bill, you basically have nothing, right? But if your main character is level 280 and you know you're 21 and 22 star everything and you have 60 bill, that's also basically nothing. Like 60 bill might be like 5 flame score on one flame or something, or you know maybe something YOLOs from 21 to 22. But it's also possible that you throw that all that money onto a single piece and you actually don't see the result that you're getting to. And I think at that point I see a lot of value in trickling down those resources to other characters so I can see those gains again, you know, like you talked about with the burning, that you can finally see leveling again, and that feels
Yeah.
pretty good to actually gain levels. Yeah, that'll shift based on where you're at.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we get to your main questions? Do you feel like the plans and the goals were adequately addressed, or do you have any remaining questions there?
Just one question about uh Meister rings, I guess. Like, do people
Yeah.
still make them?
Yeah, I hear a lot of people, and in general, again, it's like the best in slot conversation, which I'm a little bit. But people are like, "Oh, slime rings exist now. We can completely ditch Meister rings." I was like, "Well, no. Like, like I said, like, you still want to get rings to high Star Force to get to those stages of go. You can go like full event rings and be doing hard lucid and hard will. You can do that, but you'll have to put kind of like an abnormal amount of pressure on all your other pieces and have to get like 21 star CRA, where otherwise, you know, 19 CRA would be more easy, and then a little bit higher Star Force on the rings might be easy. You can kind of share the pressure, you know, of needing to do that damage. Especially once you want to go into like Tenebrous stuff, you definitely need to switch out like event rings and go to higher Star Force rings. You can just really afford. And the cool thing is, though, because of the Princess No dropping the rings now, is that you'll hopefully by that time get a bunch of backup Princess No rings, you know, the kind of treasure rings, and hopefully you have enough Gollux coins so that you can do like the superior kind of treasure reinforced combo. And then, you know, if you do Oz, you can have an Oz ring and that'll like replace the Meister ring. But I never see Meister ring as like a bad investment, because what if you do have a high star Meister and that's like your 4th ring, you use that for a while, and then you get to the point where, you know, Meister into Superior into Slime becomes like the next logical step. Well, now you already have that high star Force Meister, so you can just transfer that one, you know? And if that goes wrong, then you can just dip into the backup Kana treasures. So I don't see any problem with investing into it. And some people might, you know, kind of like try to completely skip it and then go for like a 17-star slime. But now you have a 17-star slime with a bunch of potential. If it's a good potential, well, now you feel forced to just get more slime rings as backups and start forcing straight up on the slime ring, which can work, but can also fail, you know. So it's still the safest way of trickling 140 into 150 into 160. But you probably want to avoid the Meister as much as you can, but not so much because it's bad, but because Meister actually has the most value for your whole account. And if you're playing multiple characters, a Primal Essence is essentially a tradable ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's more why I would be careful with Meisters and not just throwing them, you know, at a character. Or like pre-crafting 8 of them and then, oh, you get lucky on the second one. Now you have 6 of them just like sitting in your inventory. That's 6 rings that could be on another character. Getting like 6 rings is like a guaranteed 21 star pretty much as well, right? On another character. So that's more the thing that I would be careful about, rather than like just skipping it because it's low level. But I'd rather be like on the cautious side because it's transferable. And if you're playing multiple characters, that's where all the value is.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
People typically take the Kana rings and then transfer it to a reinforced, superior, and then the slime ring?
Yeah, that's how most people will do it. If you go into the high Star Force, yeah. But that's mostly because people started getting slime rings when they were already at that stage of the game, right? Because of when the content got released. So now if you're more on the cusp and starting with your levels, you're getting into the slime boss because that's just the natural progression for you. It is possible, like I said, that you get like a few slime rings from normal, all working your way all the way up to 250, up to 255, and then you're at the point where you're like, okay, now I want to get, you know, those 21 star rings, and that's like the next logical step for me, because like all of my superiors 20 and transferred, my CRA is 21, you know, working on the Abzo is like 17, and we're slowly just waiting for the transition into Arcane. At that point, if you have like 4 slime rings, you can also be like, well, I'm just going to try on a slime ring first and then see how far I go, you know? Because the chance that 20 to 21 you boom 3 slime rings, that's terribly low chance. It can happen, of course, but it's terribly low chance. And you can always just settle for 20 on the last one, you know, just to make sure that you sit on that. But if you have a few slime rings, then you can do it on the slime ring itself and then see how it goes. But for most people, that was the go-to, because they already had all that money. They already had all those Helix coins. They already had all those Meisters and those Kana treasures. And they have a ring, one of a kind, that they want to get into endgame as soon as possible. So that made the most sense for them to do.
And for the pendant, do people take a Dominator pendant and then transfer that onto a superior?
Yeah, so that's, again, if you're taking like the quote-unquote fodder from 140 21 star into 150, that would be the Dominator pendant for the pendant slot for superior pendant. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they don't drop from Helix anymore, right?
No, exactly, because it's the earrings and the belts that drop now. So you want to be a bit more careful on when it comes to the backups and the transferring there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen a single earring drop yet.
It could take a bit. Yeah.
I've had like 5 belts drop, so I was like, oh, might as well just get this up to 20 stars, and then I boomed every single one.
Rip.
But I had one left over, and then I just used my reinforced fodder to get that to 21.
Nice, yeah.
So I managed to salvage it. Costed a lot of money, but
yeah,
worth it.
It will cost some, yeah.
And for the Dominator pendant, they usually transpose that onto a Sweetwater pendant, right?
Yes, yeah. So the typical pendant progression is like Horntail pendant, Chaos Horntail pendant, then either like Mechanator and Chaos Horntail, probably that for a while. Then one of them hopefully gets replaced by a Dominator. Most likely the Horntail pendant, you know, will be scroll for a little bit of damage, and then Dominator comes in. If it rolls for damage, then you reroll the Horntail for Mezzo or drop. If the Dominator rolls for Mezzo or drop, then that kind of just stays the function, and then you try to flame the Dominator. If you get like a super good flame, then you get it to 16, and then you try to transpose it onto a Sweetwater, and then you use that. If you get that earlier, then you get your Superior. Then you use the Dominator plus the Superior for a while. Then you use the Dominator plus the transposed Dominator plus the Superior for a while, and then whatever is left on the side, either it's the Mechanator if it was upgraded, either the Horntail Pendant, or maybe another Dominator that you found. If the flame wasn't as good, it was like a 85 flame score or something that's really nice, but not quite transposed level, then you can re-roll that for drop or mezzo, and then that's kind of your whole set, And then end game is like maybe you get a Source of Suffering one day, and then you want to do like basically the Slime Ring jump, but then with the pendant. So then you have to have like the Dominator in the role of the Maestro or the Kind of Treasure, and then the Superior Pendant in the role of the Superior Ring, and do like a double frog leap basically into the Source of Suffering, and then hope that thing survives.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about that right now.
Yeah, no, that's it's a good thing that that's far away.
I guess, yeah. For the other accessories, the eye and the face, I'm still trying to get the pat mark, but do people usually just try to like get a good flame and then transpose it right away, or do they use that at all, or use something else in the meantime?
So what do you currently have? You got the Black Beam mark and the Sweetwater Tattoo.
Yeah.
And do you have drop in mezzo pieces as well, or?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here, yeah. I see. Yep. Yeah, because with the amount of 20s and 21s you're talking about, there's got to be some mezzo income, otherwise you cannot really afford those options.
I would assume people just buy as many tattoos as they can and then just get it to high star force.
Yeah, that's so if you have a lot of Dineros, did you level up to the Dreadnought?
Yeah.
Yeah, then you're just swimming in Dineros as long as you keep doing those daily, so it's mainly just like send and then try to get a 21 basically. There is the Twilight mark now, right, which is the next step up before you can get to pitch boss. So for most people, going to be best in slot in combination 2-set bonus with the Slime Guardian Ring, because the 2-set bonus gives you 10% damage. That's really nice. It's a lower level though than the tattoo, but it has flame advantage, so that compensates for it. Plus the set bonus that takes it over over where the tattoo is at. So I think a lot of people will be sitting on a 17 tattoo, maybe up to 19 or something, and kind of just leave it there, and then hope for Twilight marks. Again, you'll be in a party, you'll have to switch on the drops, and in the same way that the Slime Ring is pretty rare from normal, I think the Twilight mark is even more rare from the normal bosses, but it drops from both normal Lucid and normal Will, so there will be double the chances, but still, including that, it seems more rare at least. So you take that in mind as well with like how far do you push the potential, how far do you push the flame, how far do you push the Star Force, because there is like a next step up that is relatively within reach, because like normal Lucid parties should be within your reach pretty soon, or already are. But just because the boss is in reach doesn't mean that a high Star Force reasonable piece of drop from that boss is within reach. That's still a whole RNG factor, so you keep that in mind, I guess. For the Black Beam mark, it's fine. Like, yeah, some people switch to monocles, but a lot of people don't like the Sweetwater dailies, so they'll basically just sit on a Black Beam mark as long as possible. Plus, you can get quite a few of them if your drop rate is pretty good. And then it's pretty easy to also make like a 17 or a 19 and just sit on that for a while.
Okay.
Because, the flame advantage set bonus, that's pretty nice. It's really once you get past 17 and you're trying to go for 19 or all the way up to 21 that the Sweetwater gets significantly better, because the Black Beam mark caps at 20, right? So the monocle can actually get to 21. But by that time, a lot of people will be more like, I just hope I get a pet mark by then, and then get up at mark 16, good flame, and then transpose it into the sweet water, and then use that to replace the black bean mark with.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Prage.
If I'm happy with the flame on my Dominator pendant, is it a good idea to transpose it, or is it like not high enough benefit that I should just wait?
I think it's one of those that I talked about where it's like really nice for what it is, but probably not quite at the point of transposing. The main thing is just like transposing is so final, right? Once you transpose it, there's just no way of getting it even better. You've got a Dominator now for Mezzo. Do you have like specific drop pendants as well?
Just the great pendant.
Great pendant, yeah. Because
I
like
haven't worked on a second one yet.
Yeah, because the eventual step is like that you go for a full drop set, right? Like not maybe full, but like 8 or 9 lines, so that when you're doing like the boss, like the end of boss stages and stuff, you can have even more drop rate. That could be like the future for this Dominator pendant. I'll probably like flame another one on the side until you just hit one of those Giga Flames. And then have that be your target to transpose. And for now, you're in the situation where your damage set is basically this Dominator pendant because of set bonuses still being applied, plus the superior pendant, right? That's like your current damage set for pendants, and that's fine. But you'll want to aim for like that 115 to 120. Well, 115-ish flame score is probably what you want to aim for.
Really?
Yeah, because you're flaming for endgame, right? So you're trying to get a really high quality flame, which isn't normal, but once you've transposed it, there's no way to reflame it.
Okay.
You'll just ruin the flame, right? Because the item doesn't have flame advantage that you're the Sweetwater, so you'll just get like you'll get like 3 dex and like 2 jump or something, and you're like, okay, well there goes everything.
Yeah. Yep. It's just I've never seen a flame score that high on, I don't think any of my gear really. Or maybe some, but I've just had horrible luck with the pendant, I guess.
Yeah, like the cape is kind of close. Like if the cape was weapon attack instead of magic attack, that would be one, for example.
Yeah, that happens a lot with my gear.
Yeah, it's it's
a lot of magic
inevitable.
attack.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of CRA like that where it's really nice, but then it's magic attack. Oh, all of yours have 5 attack power, right? But imagine if all of those were magic attack, then some of that would be like, I have to reroll this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's happened to a bunch of my CRA stuff.
Yeah, it happened to my emblem too.
The magic attack? Oh, beautiful. Yeah, that's marvelous. Good old 3-line attack, but one is a prime magic. Nice. Yeah.
But I'm not gonna waste my money, I guess, or let it
Not
get
for now.
to me.
Yeah, for now it would be a
for
waste. Well, that's a term, right? People are like, waste your money. But waste is more like if you're throwing it at something that is not very likely to give you an efficient return, right? Then it's a waste. But a lot of times people call it waste if they try to do something and it fails. But, you know, if you try to do something and it was the most efficient thing for you to do, but you don't succeed, it's not a waste. I mean, you tried, right? It's a waste if you spend it inefficiently and then you get nothing. Then it's a waste. Yeah,
I guess it's just inefficient at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
When I have so many other things I could work on.
Yeah. So this was answered, right, for your question for the earrings. Yeah, you probably want to keep reinforce and then 21 transfer hammer into 20 superior. That's the
I think it's like the easiest thing to really work on.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of accessories, but.
Are you at the point where you could buy the earring as well with the amount of coins you have, or not yet?
I was able to buy. I just bought the pendant recently, so I'm still working on trying to buy it. But I just figured that by the time that I did get like the 2 pieces that I couldn't get from the drop, that I would get the earring. But
yeah, the idea is that you should get one of each of the drops like mathematically before you can technically like afford your 3rd piece. So that the first set of 4 is 2 from drop and 2 from the shop, basically.
Yeah, mathematically, I'm just really unlucky, I guess.
Yeah, you just got lopsided on the terms of the side of the belts, right? If you could switch out a belt for an earring, I'm sure you would have already.
Yeah.
But sadly, we don't have such an exchange. Imagine if Gollux dropped like an accessory box and you could pick one of the 2.
That'd be cool.
That'd be nice, right?
Or
Yeah.
if anything, they should just bring back the old cost for the accessories.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
pricey, but you can rebuy. You know, it's a pro and a con. Like for people who are already playing a long time, the system is way better. But the old
yeah,
cost system and the old coin system and everything was a bit more forgiving. But then you had one ever, you know. So yeah,
it's a
finding that
trade-off.
balance is, yeah, exactly. For
Yeah,
early game, it's definitely harder to get into. But then once you're into it and you're further into the game, it's a lot better. You have a lot more options there.
yeah. That just like randomly reminded me
Mm-hmm.
when Adele first came out. I don't think Kana rings were uh they dropped, so you only
Yeah,
had one copy.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
remember this one person who literally just kept remaking Adele's until they got a 22-star Kana ring. I was
Yeah,
like, how much
Jando.
time
Yeah.
and money would you invest in something like that?
Jendo was a old blaster main. He went very far, but he kind of got fed up with how much effort he had to put into the character for so little return. So when Adele was released, he was like, "Okay, this character is busted. I'm gonna play this." And yeah, he got a little bit, behind the curve in terms of levels, but he was way ahead of the curve in terms of damage because he had that 22-star kind of treasure. Yeah.
Yeah, and now you can just get it weekly, potentially.
Yeah, well, I don't
You
think
have
he's
to keep
playing anymore,
remaking
but
it.
yeah, now, yeah. Whatever you're min-maxing, it's always important to also see that you're min-maxing within, if your goal is to min-max, you know, that you try to min-max within the entirety of the game and not just within one system, right? Because you can kind of lose track. I think that one specifically was a good idea, given the state of the game back then. But of course, right now, it would be really dumb to do it that way. You would just, be shooting yourself
Well, in
in the foot.
hindsight, yeah.
Yeah,
It
but
just
it's
kind
not
of
even
blows my mind.
hindsight, but it's just a different time with different rules, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just blows my mind,
yeah.
like what
The dedication.
people will go through.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had never considered it. Was like, oh, that's actually really smart. Yeah, if that's your goal, then that was actually the best way to get it. So, and I think he had to remake 4 or 5 times. I think his 4th one or his 5th one or something got to 22. So,
Oh, you know the person who did that?
yeah, Jando, he used to stream as well. Yeah.
Oh, poor
Yeah,
guy.
I think he was streaming the whole time. Well, I think he was okay with it. I mean, that was his goal, so at least it wasn't like 12 times or something, you know? Like, it could have been a lot worse. I think
Yeah,
he
but
ended up
that
catching up on
quest line, though.
levels eventually, even,
That quest line was just too much for me.
yeah. Yeah, well, for me, I would never be at that point either. I'd probably try to make a 21 and then move on. Which should be, only like 1 or 2 characters rather than 4 or 5.
Mhm.
So the rings, we covered that appropriately.
Yeah,
And the pennant and the monocle and the black beam mark, that's all clear?
yeah.
Okay. just trying-
Actually, one more question about the gear.
Mhm.
So once I start doing Lucid and I'm able to get arcane weapon
Mhm.
and like gear and stuff, do I try to aim for like higher star force on those before I switch out of my Abso, or do I like when do I like start investing in that?
Yeah, your abs will probably be at 17. Maybe by that time it'll be legendary, but it'll be, like 2-line legendary 17 probably, right? With OK Flames, which they already, they're decently in that direction already. The weapon will just be like as soon as you get, because your weapon is 20, but even like a 17-star arcane with a decent flame will be a huge upgrade pretty much immediately. The base attack is just so much better, and because of the higher tier of the higher level of the weapon, the flame will just be that much better. And then if anyone in chat knows off the top of your head, like the is it Ritual Fan? Arcane Ritual Fan. Super Ritual Fan. Nice. Like the base attack is 276. Oops, I closed this by accident.
It's like almost an 80 base attack increase.
Yeah, so 84, and the base, and then the flame is on 276. It goes to 20 ID instead of 10 as well, so that's nice. 276 on it. So you see, like, if it was an Abzo, it would be 111 on a tier 6, but because it's 200, it's a 133. So it would be at 409 attack without Star Force.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. So you just switch into that immediately.
Okay.
Yeah, because even with like 2
No,
lines attack, it'll blow this one out of the water. And even though you lose the set bonus, but because the set bonus for Absolab isn't as top heavy anymore, right? You just lose 10% boss set bonus and some attack and some stat. So it replaces that. And basically with all the other pieces, the way they changed the set bonus for Arcane and for Absolab makes it so that you could feel free to just switch one piece at a time. But you probably just get the piece to 17 first, and get some OK potential and OK flame on it, and then just one at a time, just switch them over. And then the goal eventually is to, with boxes and with extra drops to get backups, and then get your armors all to 19. But that will probably be after you get all of your CRA to 21, and probably all of your, all of the superior stuff, all the 20 and all the rings to 20 or to 21. And then you try to get the arcanes past 17. Again, because you need time to get the money, but also you need time to get the backups to be able to try it,
Do they also get the CRA hat to 21 stars too?
Yeah. There's some classes where maybe they'll go for arcane hat for a little bit, but eventually you will switch back always once you get to like Black Mage and into Genesis Weapon, which is, like years away, but eventually you do switch back there. So, depending on how long you think that stage is going to be, sometimes people dip into that. But the Abzo hat is pretty much completely out of the picture at this point, just because the Arcane hat is, the CRA hat is probably by that point already so high Star Forced up that even switching to the hat, to the Abzo hat will be such a... It probably won't even be an upgrade, or you have to spend so much money for it to be an upgrade that it's a very inefficient upgrade. So it's better to just stick to your CRA hat and then just get the arcane weapon and just be like 1 set, 3 set, 4 set, basically.
Okay. Alright, it's good to know. So I guess we can go on to the main questions that I had rather than here.
Yeah, if you think everything's clear. Yep.
I just came back from the game recently, and my inner abilities are like kind of weird looking now. What exactly did they change about it?
So you're talking about specifically like the graphics, like the colors of it, or?
No, like my first line is legendary, and then like, why are the other two like not the same tier? I thought they all had to be the same tier.
So the first line is always the tier as your inner ability is, and then the other two are more likely are 2 ranks below, and then have a slightly smaller chance of being 1 rank below. So it's a bit different than with item potential. But they can also be 3 ranks below. Like they could be rare or epic or unique. They can be all ranks.
So how do people go about I guess.
Yeah, going from where you are, which is like a temporary decent inner ability, to like an endgame best in slot inner ability. Step 1 is save up a lot of honor experience. You're quite far already in that. 1.7 mil is a decent amount. This is like pretty arbitrary and just like my experience, but I went for I did that transition right recently with a bunch of characters, considering the last round of improving inner ability that we had, because they removed some ranks, some shitty ones. They changed the cost for rank up, and they changed the percentages chance of occurring epic and unique as well in legendary. So right now we're at the stage where it's the most cost efficient ever to really go for that. My characters that were the unluckiest probably spent, I think one character spent almost 5.5 mil honor to get back to the perfect one that I wanted to get to, and then the ones that were luckier spent like just over 1 mil. So you're within the range where it's definitely possible, but I wouldn't put you at like, oh, 100% chance. You're definitely gonna, like, from here on out, you have the amount of honor that you need to 100% guarantee. It depends on what your goal is, right? For most people, the goal will be the best in slot that you can get unique line with circulators, and then lock that in, and then roll with honor experience during 50% off while locking that line that you got with circs to try to get your best in slot inner-ability prime line, your legendary line. And hopefully that one you can get with the honor experience, and then, you know, anytime there's an event, you just lock those 2 lines, and then, you know, Hail Mary for the last line, basically, is the goal.
So can all 3 lines be legendary?
No, that was like way in the beginning. So like if you have some super old screenshots, that was possible. But the top for the highest rarity for the bottom 2 lines is unique.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So you'll have like green and then yellowish. Yeah, it's like orangish because they wanted a bit more contrast with the white letters. If it was actually yellow, you wouldn't be able to read it, I think. So it's like the same color as the up arrows on the hyperstats, basically.
Okay.
So I think for if I remember correctly, for Hoyoung, it's probably boss damage top because you trying to get buff duration on the unique line, because the inner-ability, here we go. Because the unique line can go up to 38, which is really close to what you have now. So it's only a small decrease, but you'll gain a large increase in the boss, right? The boss and unique only goes up to 10%. So you would be, by switching them, you would gain 10% boss compared to a unique line, but you would lose only 9% buff duration compared to this one, or 12% compared to a 50%, which in the global scheme of buff skill is a smaller percentage lost, basically, is the idea behind it. So the best in slot for... let me double check Hoyoung here. Oh, passive +1 is apparently slightly better, but 20 bosses is really close apparently here. So that all comes down to just, you know, mathematics. Because you have so many, you have like a stacked 4th job, right? With a lot of passives and everything. So passive +1 will just boost those things so much. A lot of the newer classes have that. Like for Arc, it's the best as well. For Lara, it's the best just because those 4th jobs are just packed with so many great skills. That passive +1 is really, really valuable, and it stacks with decent combat order, so that helps. And then buff duration, and then critical rate is mentioned here. I'm assuming that the critical rate is mostly for min-maxing purposes on your link skills, right? If you need the crit from there, then you can get out of crit link, and it's like the Phantom, right? And instead have a damaging link there as well. And then that damaging link, the theory is that the damaging link will give you more damage than what else you could get on the line of inner-ability. So what you would be comparing to would be 10% boss would be the highest one, and then the second highest would be like a damage to debuffed monsters up to 8%.
Okay.
So if you get 20% boss main, then you're probably only looking for this one. I guess that's your only out. If you get the passive +1, you could also maybe get 10% boss and then keep your current link skills. And then if you can get some crit rate, then yeah. But most likely this is not, the 3rd line is not going to be this percentage, right? That's like the highest it can be. But if you're rolling with circulators, then you're always going to get the highest number. So you're going to get these numbers on the 2nd line. But the 3rd one is going to roll with honor, so that's going to be random. And that's the reason as well why we lock in with circulators first for that unique line, because it's the unique plus the perfect or near perfect prime line. That combination is the most important thing to achieve, and that's the most efficient way. So I would say once you have like 2 to 2.5 mil honor experience, I would say that's very close to like guaranteed. You have to get pretty unlucky, because the characters I did, that one character that needed like 5.5 mil, that was very much an outlier. All 3 of my other characters got it like around 1 mil, one like 1.3 or something. So, and then most of those was also done with a 3rd line with a really good line. So, yeah.
Like you were able to get every single line to what you wanted?
Yeah. Well, yeah, so not maybe the perfect number on that 3rd one, right? Because I wasn't like, okay, oh, I hit 16 crit, fuck this, I'm gonna keep going for 20. And I was like, no, 16 crit, like, I'll keep that, you know? So like for my Demon Avenger, I went for the cooldown skip, so on the unique line, 10%, and then locked that in and went back for the attack speed, and then locked those 2 in, and then got a crit on the 3rd line. And I think that in total was like 1.5 million or something. But there is a calculator for that as well that tries to approach those values. But that's under... I don't have that direct calculator, but I think... you're familiar with like the Scardor calculators, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he has that one up there somewhere where you can kind of put in... and I know Seth is also working on this. Like, let's say that you have right now... so what do you have right now? You have cooldown. No, you don't have cooldown skip. You have buff duration, and then you have meso. Wait, it says meso drop. That should be meso obtain. And you have defense. Wow, you have. Can I just NA? Cool. And then you want to get to boss 20, and then you want to get to buff duration 38, and then let's say to whatever on the third one. Use honor during 50. Oh. Yeah, see, this is why we don't use purely honor, right? Because the calculator for honor will be like somewhere between 4.3 and 21 million. So that's why we don't do that.
Okay. So when you use your honor to reset your inner ability, does it reset every single line?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And does it go down in ranks too?
No, they changed that. You can never go down in ranks anymore. That was completely eliminated. They increased the price of rolling, but they also increased the chance of the percentages, and they completely eliminated the chance of rolling down.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so you don't have to lock the legendary ability line anymore. You can't even do that if you wanted to. Yeah.
So you only lock the lines that you don't want to reroll then?
Exactly, yeah. That's why we circ first, because it's like circ for the unique line, and then you just lock the unique, and then yeah. Sometimes what might happen is that you rolling, when you lock the unique, that you actually roll the other second unique that you want before you even roll the legendary line, and then you just lock those two, right? But then, yeah, if you lock two lines, then the rolling gets pretty expensive. But if you're just locking one, you still have a lot of juice. So.
Okay.
So I guess with that, one thing you can do with like event maps and event shops and stuff is maybe see if there's some honor experience that you can buy, just to make sure that you can get towards that situation maybe a little bit faster.
Okay.
And for your other characters, right? In general, for all of them, you're going to eventually do this. So make sure that you have that long-term vision where you're like, it's cool to have a temporary one. Like for Arc, you don't really need much at all from your inner ability. So it's really easy to go for like 20% meso and maybe some drop and just sit on that forever. Like my Arc still has that at level 280. I've got a meso obtain and then attack and drop. And I've had that forever. And I'm sitting at 10 mil honor because you can't get more than 10 mil. So all of my honor has been wasting for like 3 years. But lines 2 and 3 can roll down. Yeah. The rarity of the inner ability itself, the tier of the inner ability can go down. But there's a chance for like the top line is always legendary, and then the other ones can be rare or epic or unique, but at a certain percentage with every roll. It's not that once you roll a unique line on a second or third line that every result after that is going to be unique. That's not the case. Just to clarify that now.
Okay. So...
that'd be broken.
If I do get the first line to what I want it to be, I just lock it in and just roll as many times as I can to get a good second one? Is that...
That's...
the basic idea?
Well... that's what some people do, and that can work, but that has a higher likelihood to just drain all of your honor, and now you're like completely fucked from ever getting your inner ability that you want, because now you just wasted like a year of honor experience, or 2 years of honor experience, and now it's going to take another 2 years to get yourself back up to that point. If you're rolling with circulators and you get the top line that you want, but none of the other ones, you kind of want to just keep re-rolling.
Okay, so you just unlock everything and then just keep going until the first 2 lines are good then, pretty much?
Yeah. Well, it could technically be the third line as well, because their second and third line are basically the same, but yeah. So what you would want to do is just set a budget for circulators, right? Like you wait until there's a 50% off, and then you just set a budget. You're like, okay, I'm going to spend 5 mil on circulators, or I'm going to spend 20 million circulators, whatever your budget is. And then because circulators allow you to keep the previous roll, if you do roll boss damage, you know, on the top line, or passes +1, and you decide to keep that over 45% buff duration, you can always just keep that one and then just keep rolling for that unique buff duration. And then if you don't find the unique, you can just settle for the one that you have. But you have to be aware that at that point you've lost your 45% buff skill duration, right? Which for both mobbing and bossing can have an impact on your vortex damage, and on, especially for mobbing, on your clearing speed, right? So that's a choice that you will have to make at that point. Is it like, am I okay with moving into this other passive? Because again, the passive, you want to see it as like an equipment. It's like, it's best in slot, but only because of the combination of the other stuff. Also, only because there's a unique line of buff duration as well, right? By itself, it's not best in slot. It's best in slot in harmony with the other things. So, yeah, within that budget, it's basically, you just set a budget for circulators so you just don't donkey roll into all of your money being gone. It's like with every gambling that you do. Always set a budget for yourself so you have a stopgap, you know, so you don't go completely broke.
Okay. Just so like a little bit more clear
Sure, yeah.
on this, could you explain like how you would do it with like a new character?
A new character. Okay, so as a new character, you get a decent amount of honor experience pretty quickly. You can get up to like 200,000, 250,000 pretty quickly. But after that, it slopes off hardcore because you get a bunch from quests and for leveling and for job advancements. But after that, it's basically all just from training, and you don't tend to have a lot of drop rate early on, so you don't loot a lot of those honor medals early on. So it's mostly from weekly bossing and maybe from events and everything. So on a completely new character, rare inner ability, about 200 to 250k available, I wouldn't even wait for an event unless there's an event like 2 or 3 days later, you know, on a Sunday, which there is soon, so don't start rolling, chat. But so step one would be looking when is the next 50% off, you know. If it's not near, then I would just roll, ignore everything until I get to unique. And then if I get to unique and it's something very useful that I see, I might hold that and then just say like, okay, pause. Like on the new Ice Lightning, for example, I rolled, and I rolled 38% buff duration, top unique line on the reveal to unique. Now, if I would go to Legendary, what would I be aiming for? Well, I'd be aiming for some buff duration. But I already just got that on unique, so I'm just going to stick with unique and just build up honor experience, basically. Because the goal of that character is to be a bossing mule, right? So eventually I would want, depending on where I want to be bossing with it, I want that buff duration. That's important for infinity, right? I want to extend the duration of infinity. I want to make sure that I got all the final damage from that. Because eventually I want to do up to like Lotus and Damien. If I have the money and I want to spend it on it because I want to speed up the boss runs, that I know for Ice Lightning, it's important to get that buff duration on a second or third line and get attack speed on the top one. That would be a decent improvement. Now for me, I don't think I'm ever going to go for that on that character because that is a little bit too min-maxy, and I don't think I'm going to get that value back just from that one rank of attack speed for all of those circulators and all of that re-rolling. And then what if I don't get it? I'm at best going to spend like 30 bill on, like anywhere between 10 and 30 bill on circulators and be at the exact same ability that I am now functionally, right? So that's not a good trade-off for me. But if my goal was to be long-term playing and it was my main, then there are more outs, because then instead of just attack speed and buff duration, you have attack speed, buff duration, drop rate, meso obtain. You know, you have a lot more options that you can get. I could even get like an inner ability like yours, like buff skill duration on top, and then maybe drop or meso on the bottom, and that's all of those would be more valuable. So now you have way more outs, so the expected cost of getting something that I would want to settle for is way lower. So that would incentivize me to just spend circulators on tiering up to legendary, and then rolling maybe a little bit with honor, but mostly again waiting for 50% off and then rolling during that, and then first probably settling for something like yours. Or immediately going for circulators, trying to get a good unique line, and then rolling for something useful on the top line and or on the bottom line. Because then I know I'm going to be playing it longer, going to get at least a 250, I have way more time to make more honor experience, and I know that eventually I'm going to swap it from a training inner ability to like a bossing inner ability. That would be like my whole thought process, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, depending on the goal of the character and how long you think you're going to have to build honor and everything, you go like through different steps to get there eventually.
Yeah.
Did that make it more confusing or less confusing?
I think I'll have to try it myself to get a grasp on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I like kind of get it in theory.
Yeah, general advice would be just wait until you have at least 2 mil, I would say, and then set a budget for circulators and try to hit the 38% buff duration on a unique line. If you do, lock that in, keep rolling, try to get boss damage or passives +1 on the top. If you can get that, you're golden for a long time. If you don't get that, you only downgraded a little bit from 45 to 38, or you spent a bunch of money on circulators, but you still hold the current ability. Those are like your 3 outcomes, basically. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. How much would you usually spend on circulators?
Yeah, that's again like the calculator is hopefully soon going to be set up for using circulators to get certain lines. I know Seth is working on that. Those numbers are a little bit weak because you have to get them all from Korea and then hope they're the same for us and everything. Although I think everything points into the direction that our interoperability is just completely copy pasted over from Korea. Yeah, if you're just rolling, let's say just from a unique interoperability to get to legendary, that's usually just like anywhere from like 5 to 15 rolls, so that's pretty manageable. That's like between 1 and 3 bill. But to get your unique line that you want, man, I think the low end is probably something like, I don't know, like 30 or something. So like 5-6 bill. But the upper end could, it could be like 20, 30. It's been a while, but I know back in the day my mom spent like 20 bill on discounted circulators and didn't get what she wanted. But again, that was a long time ago before the rates changed. But there are some horror numbers out there. So it's pretty hit or miss. That's why I'm telling you set a budget, you know. Be like, I'm going to spend 10 bill. And then, you know, if you get it within that 10 bill, jump for joy. And if you don't, that's cool. Just try again next event. You know, don't go broke over it. Because it is really nice to have a good interoperability, but it's not worth like tanking all of your other progress over. Because you have a functioning interoperability. You know, if you had absolutely dog shit right now, I would say like that's top priority. But this works. You know, you have Mesoptane, you have good buff duration. Like this is something you can build on.
Yeah. I guess I'll work on it eventually, but not.
I wish I could be like more exact and give you like all the numbers and it's like this is what you do here, this is what you do here. It's just like a little bit of a hidden tech kind of piece of content. So it is a little bit all over the place. For cubes, we just know like this is the average. Boom, you know, good luck. But this one's just rough.
They just made it so like complicated for no reason.
Yeah, and that's when they did give feedback because people were asking like, are we ever going to get interoperability presets? And they were basically saying like, well, we want to do that eventually, but we feel like we still need to improve the system, still need to remove some junk lines and still make it more reliable to get good interoperabilities first. And then once that happens, we will consider it basically. So, you know, hopefully soon TM, maybe like in a year and a half, they'll do it in Korea, hopefully. But I'm fingers crossed, right? Because my arc is like Mesoptane attack drop rate. It's like pretty much completely best in slot for training. But of course for bossing, it's absolute shit. Maybe the attack is nice, but other than that, it's absolute shit. So I would love to be able to go into boss damage to debuffed attack, passive +1, like any combination like that would be a nice upgrade at this point because I've got nowhere to go with upgrading right now in the arc. You know, 22ing arcanes. Ugh. So if I could upgrade that, for me that would be nice, and I have 10 million honor, nothing to spend it on, so please, you know.
Maybe one day they'll raise the cap.
Yeah, maybe one day, I can go up to 20 mil and just sit on it then. Okay, and then the familiars question, right?
Yeah, so if you have 100% Mesoptane for your drop gear, and let's say you have a 20% interoperability, would you be able to stack it with familiars too, or does that not stack?
So yes, but familiars don't give Mesoptane. They give they give Meso drop rate. So the chance for bags to drop from monsters, basically.
Gotcha.
So I have this. I'll send you this. I put it in the chat as well. This one completely lays out the the difference between item drop rate, meso drop rate, and meso obtain, and how they're three very different stats, but how in some situations they're like subsumed. So like equip item drop rate on an accessory as a potential line includes just all items. So but in familiars, those lines are split between item drop rate and meso drop rate specifically. So item drop rate is everything except for mesos, and meso drop rate is only meso bags. So when it comes to familiars, you have to look at those numbers a little bit differently in terms of what affects what. So your total, this is basically what it all comes down to, right? Like the goal here in the little little box. But the base meso bag drop rate is 60%. So if you kill any monster, you have no drop rate whatsoever. You have 60% chance of a bag to drop. So you need to increase your drop rate by 66.67% to get it from 60 to 100%, right? Increase it by 2/3. How you get this percent can be gotten through a lot of sources. It can be gotten by item drop rate percent. Again, except for the one from familiars, right? That one doesn't count for meso bags, or specifically from meso drop rate percent from familiars. But you cannot stack, because you ask about stacking as well. You cannot stack the same buff from familiars. So general rule of thumb for familiars is if the buff shows up in the top right of your screen as like a like a familiar icon with a timer on it, then it does not stack with other ones of the same source. But if it does not appear there, like when it's healing, for example, then it does stack with each other. So you might equip, let's say, and it's the highest percentage that will affect. So let's say that you equip two familiars, one that says increase item drop rate by a large amount, and one that says increases item and meso drop rate by a large amount. Then it'll look at the percentages. So this one does 60% for both, or for each, and then this one does 100%, but just for item drop rate. So what will happen is you will see two buffs, but it won't be 60% drop rate and 60% meso drop rate and 100% item drop rate. But from one of the buffs will be this one trying to activate, but only the meso drop rate part from this one will activate because it'll be the highest for that source. And then the regular item drop rate won't activate because it'll get beaten by this one. So you will see a second buff, and that'll be this one working. So if in the case of equipping both of those, you will have 100% item drop rate and 60% meso drop rate. That make sense?
Okay then.
So most of the time, meso drop rate is pretty useless because most of the time you will get to this percentage just with items in your with inner ability, holy symbol, and item potentials. You will get enough, and you will always have a bag. You will have 100% chance for a bag to drop. And when it comes to familiars, you're only going to be looking at item drop rate for more node stones, more droplets, more valuable items, etc. The only time you will want meso drop rate at this point is if you're going into Cernium, burning Cernium, and the monsters are really, really strong, and you have to train with your damage gear on to be able to kill. And at that point, you won't get that item drop rate from your equips. Your inner ability and your holy symbol won't be enough to give you 100% chance for bags. And at that point, a meso drop rate familiar will be useful to make sure that you can still get bags.
Not gotta worry about that just yet.
Yeah, not quite yet, but it does mean that if you happen to reveal one, if you're working on familiars, that you know that it has some future use, so you can hold on to it, but probably not for a while. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then in general, but even if you get this line, for example, it's probably very good because what you'll most likely have is just increased item drop rate 50 or 60. So if you can switch it by this one, it'll be the same or a little bit better until you get this one, right? Increase the item drop rate by a large amount.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and you can read up on all the details if you want to. It talks more about stacking and, what percentage would you ideally go for. And that loops back a little bit to what we talked about way in the beginning, right? With going from an item and drop rate mixed set to like a more specifically item and meso mixed set to more specifically just a drop rate set later, especially since hopefully soon we'll get more of those bonus stages with the treasure boxes at the end of all the boss fights, so you have more time to reliably switch your gear and not be stuck on, trying to switch at the end of a boss fight, throwing 5 buff freezers into switching your equips and stuff like dumb shit like that.
Yeah, when are they adding that?
It should be somewhere after Destiny, hopefully in the part. I think we saw the roadmap. I think it's part of the better Maple, so part of the August update, hopefully.
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
Are they doing that with the CPAP too?
Trying to remember who the bosses are. I'm trying to remember if CPAP was one of them. We can check Orange Mushroom real quick. I know it's so Lotus and Damien and like Gloom, Darknell, Ferris Hilla, like I know all of those. And then Will. Oh, those are the Dojo and Legion changes. But this isn't Tespia. It was May 12th, really? Oh, well, we're catching up. Quality of life, story improvements. Oh, they'll probably be like with the bossing UI as well. That should be interesting, especially for you. You know, if you're trying to get those Lucid runs, that'll be. I think a Lucid is gonna have a. It's gonna be storming the Bastille. Oh, this is only Tespia. I think I'm looking at specifically. Oh no, this is Why are the 3 last updates all Tespias? Is it part of this one? Maybe. Oh yeah. This is it. Is it treasure? Treasure boxes? No, this is something else. Let's see. It might be before this. Hang on, let me see if I can find it for you. I think it might be part of this. Quality of life changes. Oh, this is with the HP bars. Multiple items. It might even be from before this. Yeah, it's a boss UI. Crystals, storyline. Oh yeah, this is also stuff we're already getting. Yeah, hopefully all of these skill changes will go through with this update as well. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Certain bosses reward phases. Yeah, so you'll have like a thing in the end. So normal and hard Lotus, normal and hard Damien, all the will difficulties, Gloom, Darknell, and Varicella. Yeah, so not yet for CPAP. Hopefully at one point, yeah. Because that's a very tricky one to to switch on, definitely.
Yeah.
That would be a nice one if they added that. I agree. Okay. Yeah, we're at the end of our time. Is there anything you want to get a little bit more clarification on, or anything you feel we forgot?
I'm just looking through my stuff really quick.
Yeah, I guess we didn't specifically look at the Arc and the Adele.
I mean, I'll do them the same way I'm doing
exactly.
my
Yeah.
Hoyoung pretty much. So.
Jesus, what is your CRA on the Arc? What the fuck?
Yeah, I got pretty lucky with some of the cubing.
No wonder you had no problem with Helix. You got like 33% top at 21 stars at a level 230. That's pretty busted.
Yeah. I have some pretty ridiculous pieces on the Arc. Not so lucky.
Oh, the 3-line attack
Hoyoung.
emblem as well, so that helps quite a bit. It's very solid fundamentals. Yeah, I guess you were also sort of surprised by the attack once you see like the attack on on Fafnir Knuckle, the flame. You know, you compare it to to the Hoyoung fan at Arcane. It's a little different.
It's pretty shit right now.
Yeah,
but
it's like your base Arcane fan is 56 attack higher than your 17-star Fafnir, like Flamed and Starforce. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because I've been neglecting this character for a while. Like, I don't think I've really worked on the gear on this since like they changed the whole flame system, I think.
I mean, if it works, it works, right? Again, like it goes back to, do you want to make an upgrade?
Yeah. I mean, I have the badge to kind of offset some losses anyway, so
yeah,
it's not the end of the world for me.
You got a 3-line solid 20-star. Yeah, this guy's got some good pieces.
Yeah, I actually Starforced that solid ring before we had multiple copies of it, so I just kind of like went all out.
It went, yeah.
and just got lucky with it. Yeah, this character is just like lucky all around. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how.
Yeah, it's already 22.5k stat, yeah. Maybe this one can slime too. Yeah, so you got two spiders equipped on this guy, right?
Yeah.
Once you've got the first guy, the other slots, you just want to put the ones that have the most defense stat so that you deplete your bar slower. But it's very possible that it is actually the second spider, so in that case, it's no problem. But if you have other familiars with more defense that would help you get the bar to deplete more slowly, then you want to use that instead. In case in case you want to train and do bosses on the same day or something like that.
Yeah, I usually don't play long enough before
Mm-hmm.
my
Yeah.
familiars run out anyway, so
No, I get that. Especially if you play different characters, because then it's like you'd have to really
yeah.
dedicate to a character in order to do that.
Yeah, so it kind of works out.
Yep. Totally.
Um, and I guess I don't really have any other questions.
Okay.
Um, Actually, if you go back to my Hoyoung page,
Mm-hmm.
could you look at that weapon right above my plans?
The null, yeah. I think that was a drop from Madman Remaru for a while. It was
Okay,
like
so
a
it's not like a.
yeah.
I
It
have no
was
idea what that was or where I found it. I just like had it in my inventory. I was just wondering what that
there was
was.
a time where there were weapons that would drop, but they would just have the wrong code, so they would just default to like base weapon. And this is like apparently in the code, this is like the base weapon that would just pop up.
Hmm. Maybe I can anvil it someday.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if it has a. I don't know if you can anvil because it doesn't have a weapon type.
Oh.
And I think it would have to be the same type to anvil it, right? So I don't know if you
Oh,
even
I have no
can.
idea.
Because it's not even like a one. Typically, base is like one-handed sword, but this kind of looks like I don't know, like a cane staff wand kind of thing, but it doesn't even have a weapon type. It's really strange.
Yeah. I just thought it'd be like
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
funny.
definitely be funny, yeah, if someone was running around that, I was like, what the hell are you wearing? It's like, I don't know, man. I'm wearing a null M. It's also like a male weapon, which also doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah. Sorry, ladies. Only the boys can wear this.
Only the boys can handle a staff this size. Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Uh, Thank you for everything that you do.
You're welcome.
Um. Yeah, I think that's the end of my questions. Hope the
Okay.
rest of your stream goes well.
Thank you. Yeah, if you're still looking for guild, hit us up. And if not, that's fine too. Good luck with your new job, and hopefully it's as time consuming as is enjoyable to you and not too much more.
Yeah, Maple will be my side job. So
Yeah, exactly. You'll always have your part-time job on the side, so you can always
yeah.
fall back into that one. But yeah, good luck with everything, and the resources are there, and if you have any follow-up questions, you can always reach out in the chat, and I hope to see you around there.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Great, man.
Good luck. Awesome. All right. Hopefully this session was good for some of you in the chat who had similar questions about equip progression, about some of the changes like inner-ability and familiars, because a lot of that stuff can be a little bit daunting. The main thing is just get a temporary inner-ability, save up a lot of honor, and then spend money on circulators, and then roll that honor, basically, is the advice. If you like the session, good. Hopefully your totem is almost done and you like the podcast. If you would like to win one of these sessions, make sure you leave a comment on a YouTube video with your Discord name. We are almost at the end of the month, so make sure to buy out your totems in the event shop. But also next week somewhere I'll draw the winners for June, so it might be 2 of you guys who leave comments, so good luck. And if you'd like a session, not per chance, but with a guarantee that you will get it, check the description of the video, and you can find all the information there. If you need any of the resources that you saw, use the Twitch chat, use exclamation mark, and then the topic that you're looking for, or just exclamation mark commands will give you a list of all of the available near 200 commands. Other than that, I thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video or live on Twitch, where I stream every day.